How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, Ginger Joe the Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight I'm joined by my good friend Charlie. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man.
Timed that perfectly, just as you got a mouthful. You've heard that one a few times.
I'm good,
I'm well. Are you fitting well? Are you ready to talk comics?
Always.
Good stuff. So just the usual, guys. We've got this week's comic books to go over and talk about. Before we get into that, just want to quickly touch on some of the things that have been happening over the last week or so on my channel and some of the other channels. So we'll start off with this. Last week we did our Geeky Art Attack. That was a good laugh, and we had some fun with that. Some great challenges. So worth checking that one out. If you're into 1/6 action figures, check this out. We did a bit of a talk last week about all the recent kind of updates. We've got that Mondo Prince Adam figure, which is quite interesting. Charlie, you haven't got 1/6 figures, have you?
No. Do you know what? I am getting into them now, and that Mondo one that you set up of the Prince Adam, that's one of the rare ones that I've seen that like I'm chomping at the bit to get that. I want to get the Harley Quinn one, and I want to get that one. It just looks awesome. Like it really does look good.
So for Harley Quinn, there's some really nice kind of real life versions from Margot Robbie and things like that, but Sideshow do some comic accurate ones which are absolutely stunning in the kind of the jester outfit. Really nice. So yeah, if you like 1/6 figures, check that out. We did a Saturday night show this Saturday, which was great fun. Recommend you check that out. Recommend, if you haven't got time to watch the full show, fast forward to the end and watch the last 20 minutes or so where we talk about our overrated movies, because it gets a little bit spicy and it's a good laugh. So check that one out. Monday night, I'm doing an episode of This Is My with Doug Brayton, who's a writer, self-published writer of Isolation, works with Reggie Collects, so that should be interesting, so please check that out. On Tuesday night, hyper about this, I'm going to be doing another This Is My with John Lees, so really excited about that one. John's going to be bringing some interesting horror-based bits and bobs to show with. And Charlie, we'll have to get you on one of these in the future.
Yes.
I know we've talked about it, but
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you just
love to have you on.
I'll throw some dates at you. John Lees looks too happy there to be a horror writer.
Always happy, always. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So is this picture or a picture of him in his wetsuit? Do you know what I mean? With his little goggles.
I would have gone for the wetsuit.
Yeah. Then later on Tuesday night, after the John Lees interview, I'm over on Reviews with Rich's channel, and we're talking all things Mission Impossible. You seen this one yet, Charlie?
No, I haven't. I think I commented yesterday on your. I'm catching up on all of them, so I'm on Rogue Nation at the moment.
Yeah,
mate, we were speaking before we went live, and I think the fact is that Tom Cruise is still doing what he was doing 20 years ago. Like still jumping out of planes, still climbing mountains, still like climbing up bloody the Burj Khalifa and stuff like that. And it's just, I think Van Hoot said yesterday, the closer he is to death, the more enjoyable the film are. And it is. It's I'm going to be catching up on this, and then I'll be watching this one for sure.
This one's tremendous. I recommend you going to see it. And you're right. I mean, and the thing is, the guy's getting on. So physically, there's only so much more you can do. I mean, I was watching an interview with one of I think it's the director of it, and they were saying the only thing he's not done so far really is something to do with space, some kind of these high altitude drops people do, something like mental like that. He's cracked.
I think that comes up in science. I think that comes up in Scientology in a few years. So when that comes out, I'm sure we'll see a video. It'll go like,
you'll get some kind of. Will be a mothership picks him up and drops him off or something. I would imagine. Yeah, and he'll just float to the ground. This is coming up soon.
It'll just cruise.
Boom! I like that. Yeah, that's why you're here. Yeah, good.
Sorry, chat. Sorry.
We've got this coming up. I haven't got a date for this yet, but this is where me and the guys are going to do basically just a random night where we'll be guided by you in the chat. We're not going to have any slides or anything. We're just going to chat. So looking forward to that one. That should be fun. Big shout out as ever to the UK live stream community. I always like to focus on the live stream element because that's where I think there's a lot of time and effort goes in that's not always rewarded. So please do check out these channels. This week Metropolis, which normally airs on a Tuesday, they've gone on their summer break, but they will be back soon, I'm sure, with some great content. Wednesday nights, we've got the Nerd Herd, always worth checking out. And on Thursday nights, we've always got the Killer Comic Show. great kind of rundown on Delotto this week. Really enjoyed that. What have you got next week? This.
Well, we was
what
meant
day
to
was? Sunday.
Dan Panasian on next week, but he messaged me last week and went, I've totally fucked up. I totally forgot I'm at SDCC. So I was like, all right, mate, that's fine. I said, do you want to go live from there? He was like, not really. So he's going to come on in a couple of weeks because it's going to be like Alice Never After focus and stuff like that. Yeah. It's got chapter 2 coming out. So it'd just be like a normal standard Thursday show for all of you to enjoy.
Good stuff. Looking forward to that. And then on Saturdays, we've got Grey Man with Cover Slingers, which again is always good fun. So check that one out. Okay, just before we start, we'll jump into the chat. We'll add 17 people watching, so please do hit that like and subscribe. And give the Killer Comic Show a subscribe as well, please, because they do fantastic content.
Please, we need it.
As ever, we've got my pal StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got Deadman, always a pleasure, my friend, and we've got Fuzzy of the Dunlop. My new comics haven't arrived, but I wouldn't let that stop me. Looking good, fellas. Thank you very much, Fuzzy. Appreciate that. Fuzzy was on fire last night, throwing some bombs in the chat with some overrated movies. So appreciate you as ever, Fuzzy. It's always a pleasure. We've got Jack. Always nice to see you, Jack. Charlie without a pet. No, mate, we've already been talking about that. Charlie, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Stella.
Stella, nice Stella. I've got blood orange Thatchers. Nice.
Is it Margaret's?
It's boom. Oh dear God. We've got GP Venom. Thank you very much for joining, bud. Killer Comic Show. Ian and all. Nice to see you. Yeah, Fuzzy. Fancy reading that Isolation if I can find it. So it's on. I don't know if I can see it.
I felt alone when reading that though.
Yeah. Jesus almighty. Christ, Charlie, man, we're 7 minutes in, dude.
Sorry.
Fuzzy, drop us a message, Fuzzy, because I've been provided with issue 1 in PDF format to review ready for the show. So drop us a line, mate. 16 watching, hit that effing like button. Thank you very much, bud. We've got John Bromley. Always a pleasure, John. Thank you for joining. And we've got Benjamin, the attention-seeking geek. Thank you for joining. And Fuzzy, of course, he's drinking Stella. Stella. Good stuff. Okay, let's crack on and talk some comic books. Me and Charlie have read a fair bit this week, so we're just going to kind of quickly canter through. We'll focus on a couple in particular, but quick reviews on most. Oh, Charlie.
Jesus, the terrors continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, not on this slide, but there is one shining hope, I think. Night Terrors. So this is DC's kind of big crossover event. We mentioned it last week, said how poor it was. It's continuing. This is the first issue, and then we've got Zatanna and Green Lantern. What did you think of these, Charlie? Did any of these blow you away?
So after the catastrophe that was last week with Poison Ivy, Batman, and whoever else was there, you would have thought that when they're releasing like these like mini series and stuff to like counteract whatever else is going wrong with DC at the moment, you would have started with Night Terrors issue number 1 at the start.
Do you know what? I'm glad you've said that, because people kept saying to us, "Oh, issue 1's out this week." I was saying, "It's not, man. I read it last week. I've read that. I know what it's about." Yeah. You know, the mini series started last week.
Yeah,
and then we get issue 1, and it's like,
I didn't, and they did the same thing with, I think it was Deceased. They brought out a prequel where you found out about Cyborg, like bringing the virus and stuff, and then they bring it number, and I'm just kind of like, right, so we already know half of the story before you've even brought out issue number 1.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because I've read so many comics this week, but I don't know if I'm going to start liking this. You know,
yeah,
I don't know, because it's just.
So it's really interesting, Charlie. So I think issue 1, this one didn't blow us away because, like you say, we knew pretty much everything that was happening. Mm-hmm. I could have probably missed that one. Although what I will say, and guys, those of you that are watching, there are spoilers in this. So I know, Fuzzy, you mentioned you haven't got your comics yet, but there are going to be some spoilers. I did love the guest kind of appearance at the end.
Yeah.
For an old fart like me who likes some of the old Justice Society books.
Yeah.
You know, the bring back Wesley Dodds, the Sandman.
Yeah.
And he's literally a corpse, but in his costume. Really like that. I thought that was pretty cool. But the rest of the issue you could have just left for me.
Yeah.
Zatanna, what did you think of Zatanna?
It was. I'm trying to kind of work out, like, so I'm following the reading order that DC have published, saying to do this. So you've got to do Zatanna, you've got to do Green Lantern, and then this week was like Shazam and Flash and stuff. I don't know if they're just literally filling voids now, because I like the fact that they brought in Doom Patrol. I like the Doom Patrol. I like the TV series and stuff like that. I don't know if I really like the comics that much. But it just seems to be the majority of these are filler issues.
Yeah.
Like, so we kind of, like, for Zatanna, we go back to one of the issues last week where it was, what was it? Was it Wonder Woman? It was
Wonder Woman and Superman, weren't they?
Superman, and Zatanna's appeared and she's trying to help them out. And it's just, I struggle with DC. Like, I used to struggle with Marvel.
So here's a question for you then, Charlie, because it's a full week since we read that book. Mm-hmm. So I accept that, my brain capacity is maybe minimum or something. This issue started with some impressive looking bad guys kind of trying to get it. I don't remember them at all from last issue. Have I just blanked that out? Or?
Do you know what I think they've done? I think, so what I can kind of work out from this is that the continuity from one comic to the other is non-existent.
Yeah.
So the only thing going through is Insomnia, who's the main villain throughout the whole thing. So anyone who's in the chat who hasn't read this, basically there's a main character who has now taken over the world, and he's after the, what is he after? He's after the Dreamstone.
It's not the Dreamstone, it's the Nightmare Stone, isn't it? Yeah.
So his name's Insomnia, and he's kind of he's getting into all the heroes, getting into all to the villains, and bringing out their worst nightmares. So they're reliving their nightmares. Batman #1 last week was reliving his nightmare again and again and again.
Yeah.
Then we get to Zatanna, and as you mentioned, the villains that showed up, they weren't in, unless I'm being stupid, they weren't in the previous issue.
I don't remember seeing them at all, unless I've just blanked it.
But apparently they were the ones that put Wonder Woman down and put her into like this nightmare state, and then Zatanna appears and stuff. With Zatanna, do you read her comments backwards or the way that they're meant to be read?
Oh, mate, it gets right in me tits. I'm too old for that shit. Do you know what I mean? I do. I get to I do the first couple and read them, and then later on, I can't be arsed with this. Just whatever. She's doing whatever. Yeah. But it was, you know what? It was all right. It didn't blow us away, but it was all right. The Green Lantern one was okay again. Again, Hal Jordan kind of facing his fears, and we get a bit of parallax at the end, which was nice to see. But like you described, Charlie, filler kind of sums it up for me. You know, were you excited by that issue, or did you think it was just?
I mean, I've never really been a massive follower of like the Flash or Green Lantern. I'm pretty straight laced. I've always been like the main DC like heroes, like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman and stuff. I was intrigued to read this because at the end of it, you kind of get another story. So this is obviously 27 pages. Then at the end of it, you kind of get into Sinestro because you haven't seen him in ages. Yeah. And then you kind of delve into that. And I would say out of all of them this week, that was probably the most interesting one for me, because you're finding out about Hal Jordan. You find out that at the start of it where he just wakes up and he's instantly thrown into the fact that his dad's dead. Yeah. And he's coming out of the corpse and stuff. So that was quite
that was pretty creepy when his dad kind of came out of the coffin. And I think that's what I'm wanting to see in the rest of the books. This has been sold as night terrors, you know. Yeah. And some of the books just aren't. It doesn't feel creepy, you know.
Yeah.
So it was all right. I'm just going to quickly jump to the chat before we move on, Charlie. Fuzzy, all right, Charlie, stealing all my jokes.
Sorry, mate.
Dross Knight, couldn't agree more. Dead man. Nearly called you bread man. That's a whole different story. Jack,
I was 50-50 on that.
Not only got the same physique as Thor Peter, but drinking out the same size glass. Yeah,
exactly.
It's nice. Do you know what? That's Thatcher's blood orange.
What was that again? What was that?
That's floating me boat. That's really nice. Sweet. 21 people watching. Bloody hell! Thank you very much, everybody. Please do hit the like button and subscribe to myself.
Have you not got nothing better to do on a Sunday?
What do you mean by that? This is the highlight of most people's week, I'm sure. Actually, like Night Terror, Zatanna, and Shazam. Yeah, we'll get to Shazam in a minute, mate. Jack's confirmed agreeing with GP. Fuzzy is immune to spoilers. Good man. Can't afford the 50 issues. Dead Man should always be a top tier character. Yeah, James Gunn will definitely bring. Yeah, I think James Gunn will bring it in, mate. I wouldn't
I got
be
to agree
surprised
with
at
that.
all.
I think
Yeah,
I've loved him so
he's
far.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the artwork, to be fair, and
Yeah.
Night Terrors of Dead Man was very good.
Yeah.
I like that. Fuzzy, same Dead Man. It's not worth the cost to follow the entire story. Yeah, I would agree with that, bud. Oh, we've got the Von Hoot. Nice to see you, bud. And we've got Kenneth. Nice to see you, my friend. Okay, I think that's up to speed pretty much. Okay, moving on. Get rid of that. Okay, Shazam. Now, I've got no interest in the Shazam comic book series, I have to say.
Have you watched the films?
I've watched the films and I quite enjoyed them,
Yeah.
to be fair. They're all right. Have you read this one, Charlie?
I read, yeah, I did.
I loved this. I thought this was the best book out of the lot, to be honest.
I enjoyed it. It's ironic because you've picked the page there, the middle one.
Yeah.
I just thought that I think they could have done a lot more with that. They've literally just copy and pasted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, that feels like my life at the moment. It's like the same Groundhog Day, but it was enjoyable. It was
clever. You know what I mean, clever.
Yeah,
that she's saying the magic word in her sleep, and it's transforming her, and she's having to, come on. GP's just saying here, it's brutal. GP, that's why I loved it, mate. So it starts off with the family burning to death, and then you get some real graphic scenes, and then this bit at the end, this last panel, where basically Billy is getting all the members of her family and shouting Shazam and just hitting them with lightning. I loved it. I thought it was cool.
But that's what it needs to be. Like it's night terrors. So you think like, I know everyone's got night terrors and they've got their nightmares and their worst thoughts. But when you look at what DC done for Deceased, the way that they did that, like the artist they had on it, the storytelling, the narrative, the character development, everything in it was top notch. This here, the main story is written by Joshua Williamson, who's been fantastic for DC. He's done Batman, he's done like other stories and stuff. They need to keep up that tempo of like that high caliber of this. If we're going to do something for this miniseries to fill a void, we need to get the buyers in. We need to get the people in that want to read the comics. This for me, like I haven't read hardly any of the main story of Shazam, but if it was more like this, maybe it's a sadistic in me. But if it was more like this was brutal, as GP said. This was horrendous. Like it starts off where she's got a foster family, and they're just burning the house a lot. Like everyone's in it, and they're just burning it. Yeah. And like that's the whole premise of a night terror, like things that you don't think would want to happen, and your worst fears coming to light. Excuse the pun, but do you know? But that's it. This was good. Yeah.
Was this written by Mark Waid?
I think it was. Yeah.
Wait, I mean, Mark Waid's pretty solid, to be honest, in terms of writing chops, But it's interesting that a massive company-wide crossover. You've got massive flagship titles like Green Lantern, Batman, all that kind of stuff, which didn't do anything for us at all, really. And then you've got Shazam, which is a very little, probably, I would imagine, very small popularity in terms of some of the big guns. And it's the best story out of them all so far for me.
Yeah, but it was like a curveball, wasn't it? It was like you'd expect like the main characters like Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman to have the strongest stories, where this came totally from left field. Yeah, it came totally out of the blue, and you're thinking, wow. I mean, the three panels that you've picked kind of sum it up.
Yeah, I like this one. I'd recommend this one, guys. Okay, Harley Quinn screws up the DCU. I've been loving this.
It's awesome.
Charlie, tell the people a little bit about what this book's all about.
So basically, well, everyone hears me talk about Harley all the time, right? They hear me talk about Harley all the time. Like I'm a massive Harley Quinn lover. So anything she does it's always going to be up there for me. I'm always going to love it. So I'm going to flip this over on you because I know that you don't really follow Harley Quinn. So obviously you've jumped into this. So what have you thought about it?
So I picked this up purely because of the cover of issue 1. And you're right, I don't read a lot of Harley Quinn. In fact, I read none of Harley Quinn, really. And I love this. It's just fun. It's wacky. It's silly. It's near the knuckle at times. It's quite graphic. I mean, last issue where she gets out the time machine and she walks onto Paradise Island, and I think she steps on the clay baby, the Wonder Woman baby. And just stuff like that. I love, So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And if Harley Quinn books are more like this, I'll probably read more of these. I'd read more of this kind of series. I love the concept of her going through time and reality and you know, cocking things up, basically.
Did you watch the TV show?
I didn't. I've heard everybody keeps telling us it's amazing.
The TV show is awesome.
My daughter's watched it. She says it's amazing.
It's wicked. And I think, as you said, if the stories were more like this going forward, like I'm still continuing the run. I think like it's like Harley Quinn 32 or anything like that. And it's not as good as this. These are only like mini shots. I think there's like 12 issues of this. But the way she just travels through time and has to deal with different things in her own Harley way, she's one of the strongest characters for me. Like, and I'm Harley Quinn through and through. Like everyone knows that by now, so I won't have a bad word to say about her. But these stories are so good, and the way that they do it, and the jokes that they throw in, like as you mentioned, Paradise Island treading on the Wonder Woman baby. Like, come on, no one else is going to do that. But the way that she did, you kind of help yourself going, "Oh my god, I shouldn't be laughing at that, but I have to." Yeah. And it was after reading like Night Terrors. This was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air.
It was, yeah.
Very, very zany. And you know what? I love the style of artwork as well. Cartoony. So yeah, I really did enjoy this one. And I will be reading on. I'll pick up more of this theme. Teen Titans. Did you get a chance to read that one, Charlie?
Yes, I love Teen Titans.
So I'm a big original Teen Titans fan. I've not read any of this World Finest kind of line, so I was a little confused to start with in terms of continuity and stuff, because it's kind of separate to DCU and whatnot, I think, isn't it? The World's Finest.
Yeah, they've basically started again, and they've got the original Teen Titans back. So because obviously I think they did Teen Titans University or something where Red X came through and everything like that. Hey everyone, and they've done this, and I really enjoyed it. It was a comic that I thought I shouldn't be enjoying, but I did. I did like it.
So for me, and again, it's maybe because my brain has stayed in my heyday of comic book collecting and reading. This is very old school to me. It's a nice, simple story, really clean artwork, just fun. Do you know what I mean? And I loved it. I thought it was great. An easy read. So a nice palate cleanser in all the Night Terror stuff, to be honest. It didn't feel too serious. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Hi Efren, thanks very much for joining, bud. I hope you are well. And Jack, her and Miles have been the best characters to come out of the modern age, in my opinion. Yeah, can't disagree with that.
I've got to agree with him, not at all. Yeah, I've got to agree with that.
We've then got World's Finest Teen Titans is great, in capitals, no doubt. So yeah.
No need to shout. No need to shout, Dead Man.
Dead Man's kicking off, yeah, agree, bud, agreed. Another Night Terrors, we've got The Flash. This was again actually an all right issue. This focused
it wasn't too bad.
This focused on Wally's kind of always Barry's self-doubt of always letting people down and not getting to people on time and people dying around him and things like that. I'm a big Flash fan, so I thought this was okay. It didn't blow us away, but it was okay. What about you, Charlie?
It's just, this for me was very much kind of like the Robin Night Terrors issue, where we couldn't quite get there quick enough, and it was always going to happen, and Wally was always going to die, and then it was a time continuum, and he couldn't like the Speed Force and stuff. I just think basically what they've done, DC have sat down and gone, right, for the Night Terrors, we will just use our characters and we will just give them the worst story possible for them to relive over and over again. What can we do for Batman? Have we done it where his mum and dad died? Yeah, we do that. For the Flash, have we done it where he gets trapped in the space, the speed continuum thing? Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, for Zatanna, let's have her talking forwards because she doesn't talk forwards. Yeah, we'll do that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, it was all right.
It was all right.
Now this came out of left field for me.
Yes.
So quick premise of this, basically we find out about this young lady who dotes on her father, and there's lots of great kind of family relationship stories at the start of the book of her father going away to work. You don't know what his job is, but then one day basically doesn't come back, and she really hits rock bottom, sleeps on the street and all that kind of stuff, but she's befriended by a guy who encourages her. So she goes away and does some engineering training. And the basic upshot is she ends up on this station out in Antarctica where her father his last job was there, she thinks. I'll not spoil the end of it, but I thought this was great. I loved the emotion at the start, and it got us really intrigued by the end. It's hit my button for I'll read on with this to find out what's going on. How about yourself, Charlie?
Well, see, I had no idea about this comic, and it kind of just, I was reading digitally and it come up and I was like, right, I'll give that a read. I've got to echo what Efren said. This was my read of the week because I think it and again, it's not even from we say like we've got indie comics, so we've got DC, you've got Marvel, you've got Boom Studios and Image. I wouldn't even class Image as an indie comic publisher no more.
No,
I would say they are one of the main pushers out there right now. Like they are. And the stuff that they're putting out is second to none. Like this story was so engaging. Straight from the off, you're thrown into like this history of the character, and I felt for her because she kind of done like the year 1, year 2, year 3 breakdown of where her father's coming back and she's running into him, and then you kind of get to that and she's at a loss, and it was quite. You see her sleeping rough, and then you see her friend giving her etc., and you kind of feel for her. You're like, she's got to catch a break. She has to.
It was an emotional role. It was really for a comic book, because it's. I'm an emotional guy anyway, but comics sometimes hit you in the emotional feels, don't you? But normally with characters I know, excuse me, do you know what I mean? So you've got a bit of background to them. Didn't know anything about this character, obviously, but within the first 5-6 pages, I was 100% invested and I was feeling it, Dead Man's not got his copy yet, so no spoilers. We're not going to spoil it for you, mate.
No.
It is a very good read. I would recommend getting it. Fuzzy said he nearly picked this one up, but left it. Might be, I don't know how many issues it is, Fuzzy. Maybe you want to get in trade paperback. For me, I'm thinking this is probably going to be a nice hardback somewhere down the line that I'd like to have. Artwork was great as well.
Oh, it was awesome. Do you know what I've started to do though? Is that I've started to read. I think like if you watch the show on a Thursday, I read digitally, and then I've still got a pull list of about 5 or 6 comics, but then I'll buy them. As trade paperback as well, because I like to read the story. And this I won't give any things away, but the ending, I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't even set up to be like that, but then it came and it was great. So definitely pick it up.
I've jumped off there, Charlie, because I've realised that last page I've got is the end. So
yes, I was like trying to deter from
that. But no, great story, well worth reading, guys. I'm the same as you, Charlie. I read a lot of books. If it's a series that really jumps and hits my attention, I'll go away and buy multiple copies of the first issue. So, for example, something epic, I bought a load of because I love that, But what I tend to do is I prefer to buy in nice trade paperback, hardback, absolute edition, that kind of thing, and read in that format, Okay, Bounty Hunters. Don't know did you read that one, Charlie?
It says number 36. I'm not starting from number 1.
So mate. So I read
had a week.
Try harder. I read this because James T. Keegan said it was a good read, and I don't read any Star Wars books, and I feel like I should. I've read 2 issues now, last week and this week. I'm not going to be reading more. It's probably just too complicated for me. I don't have any attachment to the characters. This was a very standard. We'll pretend we've caught Boba Fett, and then Boba Fett will pull out his guns and shoot people. And that was about it for me. So it's not a one that I'm going to jump on. So I give it a go. I can say I've given it a go, but that's about it. Red Goblin. I shouldn't like this. This is a kid's book. Do you know what I mean? But I love it. Are you reading this one, Charlie?
I read issues number 1 and 2, and I've got the rest to catch up on. But if there's spoilers, it's fine because, as you said, it's a comic I shouldn't enjoy, but it's an easy read. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, I just love it. So this is basically the story of Normie Osborn, so Green Goblin's grandson, who's got his. I mean, everybody in the Marvel universe has got his symbiote now, I think, haven't they? I think they give them away with library cards or something. But Normie's got one now called, and he's created this character called the Red Goblin. The interesting thing in this for me is that the old Hobgoblin is kind of the Goblin King or Lord or whatever, is living in the sewers, and he's the main bad guy, and he's literally a rotten corpse. It's just good fun. It's a bit like we talked about before. It's a basic old school story, which is just a bit of a laugh and good fun. Just jumping to the comments. Jack, I find myself reading a lot of the Blaze books. Yeah, they're very cool. I like a lot of them as well. Some good stories. Passpoint Comics, for future reference, looking forward to Star Wars Dark Droids. Yeah, Ephraim was showing some images of that. That looks really cool. So yeah, I'll give that one a go, mate. Mighty Barbarians. Yep, I've not read that one yet, but you recommended it. It's meant to be really good as well. I like that one. Okay, Charlie, did you read Night Terror's Robin?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think my mum must have hated myself this week because I read every single Night Terror's going, and I felt so down. I was like, oh my god. This one for me. So obviously it's Robin and it's Nightwing. And obviously the Bloodhaven and Gotham combine, and it's the two brothers are the battle for Bruce Wayne's love and stuff like this. The only part of this I enjoyed was, I think this comic seems to be, the Robin and the Batman story seem to be more focused on the they seem to be more focused on like the Batman story, so like the Joker element and stuff, because there's like ha coming up and stuff like that. I did quite like this. I did quite like the fact that Robin, he had no chance in hell.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to give away spoilers, but obviously, like, you know what I'm talking about. He had no chance in hell doing what he had to do. Red Hood is the Joker said, you're literally one step away from becoming the man who killed you. I enjoyed this. I'd say this, the Green Lantern one, and the Shazam were out of the 2 weeks that we've read Night Terrors are the three best.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I like Robin anyway as a character. I think he's great. So
I loved the Tim Drake Robin elements of this. Because it went back to old school, Identity Crisis, I think it is, where his father gets killed. I loved sounds awful. I love that element of watching him never being quite quick enough to get to his dad. Didn't like the Red Hood bits, and that's maybe because I'm just not a Jason Todd fan. But he just, I don't know, he didn't do it for me. But I loved the Robin bits. I thought that was very, very cool. But you're right. Out of all the books, this was one of the stronger ones. So quite like this. Ephraim, can we talk about yesterday's show, Peter? How can anyone think Star Wars is overrated? Ephraim, man, move on, mate. Move on. So if you don't know what Ephraim's talking about, last night's Saturday Night Live show, go check out the last half hour of it. We asked everybody what movies were overrated. And I'm going to name and shame. Phil from Phil's Nerdyverse put forward Star Wars, and then he kept doubling down on it. So he said it was shit. So,
that's why he's not here tonight, because he's been sacked.
Yeah. He can't walk. Jack, by the way, Tim Drake is the best Robin. Absolutely. Best. Nightwing. I do like a bit of Dick Grayson. Now I said I like a bit of Dick, but I thought, no, I better move on.
Wow. Thought bubble will be fun this year, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Fish flies.
You should screenshot our faces at the moment.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire, I think, for me, Jeff Lemire is a mixed bag. I love some of his work. Some of it just it doesn't do it for us because it's too abstract, I guess. I didn't know what I was going into with this. I thought it was like a horror anthology kind of thing or something. And I didn't have a frigging clue what was happening, to be honest. I think he writes stories that are really complicated. And I did enjoy it. And it's left us thinking, I'm trying to work out what I've read. What did you think?
So I'm going to give a brief synopsis of this. So if there's any dads in the chat, or there's any parents that like 5 minutes away, and you kind of do what I do and go and sit in the toilet and pretend you go in the toilet, but you actually lock the door and just reading a comic or browsing the internet. This for me would be a toilet book rip. Right?
I'm loving that. Let's pinch that from now on. I think for each show we'll have a toilet read of the week.
100%, right? You go for it, right? This for me, not only was this a toilet read, but this was a toilet thought from Jeff Lemire. Right? Jeff Lemire's in the toilet and he's like, right, okay, yeah, we'll go with that. The synopsis of this is a snotty-nosed girl finds a man, turns into a fly, and becomes her best friend.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's pretty much
right. I read the free comic book day version of this, and I was like, I could get into this, right? Now, I didn't know if you get to the end of the book, fish flies are actually a thing, right? They are actually a thing. They swarm and they die and then they come back. There's panels in this story, like at the start with the 3 boys, and I was like, oh, this is going to be quite in jest. There's going to be some jokes and stuff like that. The panel you picked on the right hand side is quite horrific. Like the way Jeff Lemire for me is, as you mentioned, he's kind of, you either take him or leave him. Like with the comic he did for May's book, and he's done Family Tree, and then he did like Little Vampires. It's well documented that halfway through some of his comics, like issues 5 or 6, you kind of get to him and you think, are they ending now? Where are they going? With this, I kind of got halfway through this issue and was like, is it ending yet? Is it going anywhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing him at Thought Bubble.
You got to ask him,
ironically.
Jeff, what the fuck, mate? What's all that about? You know,
He's going to take a bag of blue bottles and just say to
me. So here's the thing. I read May's book and I loved the first few issues, and then I defended it thinking, oh no, it's clever. It's going to be clever, you know. And by the end of it, was I disappointed? I think I probably was a bit.
Yeah.
I got to the end of this and I thought, I don't know what I've read. So basically, guys, spoilers, it jumps backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
This guy gets attacked by a load of these fish flies.
Fish flies, there we go. Hashtag fish flies.
Yeah. Ends up being befriended by this little girl, blah, blah, blah. By the end of the book, he's turned into this monster. Now, here's the thing, Charlie. All of that happened when he was kind of remembering murdering the kid in the store.
Yeah.
So I kind of came away thinking, is he a monster, or is he just, this is how he's now picturing himself because he thinks he's done something horrific? He's a monster, or has he actually turned into this fly thing?
I just couldn't. I just kept thinking of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Walking into
how does Brundlefly eat the donut?
And the thing is, like, but it's just, I don't know. Like, I enjoyed the free comic book day, and I didn't know where it was going. I read this, didn't have a clue where it was going. I did feel an emotional attachment to when the girl comes home, and you kind of know she's from a broken home, and she's kind of got, I've got to go back. I've got to go back to my dad. He's coming home soon, and I've got to go and get some food ready. And she looks in the cupboards, and the cupboards are bare. And I was kind of like, she's obviously looking for something. Like when she gets on the bus and she's going to a school and she's getting bullied, she kind of, but then I'm starting to think, we know that he shot this kid in the supermarket. Is she seeing a figment of her imagination of what she wants him to become? Is he really there? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. I'm as confused as you are, mate.
All I can think of is, you know, in the Teen Titans book, we had the Titans hitting some people. Mm-hmm. And then I've got this, and I need like a frigging degree to figure out what's happening on each page. That's my issue, you know.
Yeah.
I will read on. To see what the hell.
That's what I hate about comics. If it's absolute shit, I still want to read it to see if it's shit the next issue.
Yeah, because you kind of hope, don't you? We'll live
exactly.
GP is saying fish flies absolutely love this. Fair enough.
Because he's from up north and he's twisted. That's why.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I love you, GP. I'm only joking, mate.
Fuck the door. We know what you're really doing on the internet, Charlie. Come on, don't pull the way. Evening, Ed. Ed, we're going to be talking about the book that you recommended in a little bit. Fuzzy, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jeff Lemire won't be appearing on the Killer Comics Show.
Oh, he will, but after 6 minutes, we'll think this is rubbish and then get rid of him.
Yeah. Bit him off. Hey up. Hey, indeed, James. Nice to see you, my friend. Okay. Oh, well, that's good timing.
Get in. Love this.
So this was a piss take. This was on the Killer Comic Show when myself and Ed came on. Ed put this on as a cover of the week thing in one. And then I just for a laugh thought, I'm gonna read this shit and see what it and I was hooked. I've loved
how good is it, Pete? It's honestly how good is it?
It's just hilarious. You know, I mean, when you've got Paul Hollywood being squirted in the eye by a rogue lemon, you know, it's just yeah. So yeah, I've loved this. I have really enjoyed it. It's been fun. It's silly. It's stupid. If you love cookery shows and stuff like that, the Great British Bake Off, you can link it to that all the way through, and it's a bit of a murder mystery.
It's such an easy read though. But when it first came out and they'd picked this for his cover of the week, I was like, mate, like we're a good show. I can't have this shit on there. We're doing. And then when I read it, I was like, I can see where you're going for this because this is great. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sad it's finished, if I'm being really honest with you.
Yeah.
GP saying another one you need to read. Yeah, mate, very, very good read. I'd pick this one up in graphic novel format. It's I think, as Charlie says, it's just an easy read.
It is, yeah. I
think
like the artwork as well.
Oh, yeah, the artwork's great, yeah. I think the older you get, the more you think you have to read mature books that are meaningful in some way. Actually, sometimes I just want to read a comic, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. I love this as well. I don't know if this one hit your radar. Did you read this one, Charlie?
Yeah, I did. I read this. This was my type of comic. This was wicked.
I mean, you've got giant bears, you know, you've got monsters eating people and just leaving their ankles left and stuff. The premise for this one, guys, I hadn't heard anything about this one, just kind of picked it up out of chance, really. Basically set in the future. I can't remember what the corporation's called, but basically there's somebody hunting kind of the last human survivors. They've banded together and they kind of go out on missions to get food and supplies. And these guys have gone on a mission in Chernobyl. And they encounter all kinds of shenanigans and giant bears and things like that. And it was just superb. Great action, great artwork, monsters. Yeah, loved it. How about you, Charlie?
My only qualm with this is that the cover is very, very similar to the last run of Suicide Squad. Like it's near enough a carbon copy. And like even when I read it, I thought it said Suicide Squad, but obviously it's Savage Squad 6. It's great. It's great. And it's another Dark Horse Comics have put out this gritty, like just historic kind of, everyone knows about Chernobyl and these Avengers or whatever, they've gone back. But I mean, you've got bears. You've got bears attacking like people, leaving their ankles there, and there's like bones sticking out. It's great. Like from what we've read, I don't know what you're reading like way is, but I kind of like set out to the comics I'm going to read, and then I kind of think, I'll do the infitter. So I read like the British Bake Off one, and then I'll read Savage 6. This was wicked. I really honestly enjoyed it, and I just don't want to add it to my pull list. So I'm thinking, do I? And then I kind of get the FOMO and think, I might miss out. So I end up adding it. But I've stuck firm so far. Yeah,
I was the same as you, mate. I thought this was a DC Suicide Squad book, and then kind of thought, I don't know any of these characters. So went back and looked at the cover and thought, oh, it's not. It's Savage Squad 6 or something. But again, loved it. I thought it was great fun. Can't wait for the next issue. I'll definitely be getting the next issue on this one. I've already talked about it. I can't remember. Quickly, just to mention, Planet of the Apes was great fun. Follows up from the movies. Great battle between the apes and the people who are trying to assassinate them. I just thought, again, good action, good storyline. You like that one, Charlie?
I've been reading this and I enjoy when the comics cross over and they kind of replicate the movies. Yeah. Like obviously, you've been doing like the Mission Impossible thing on your show last night. Yeah. I'd love to see a comic like that because obviously we've got like The Last of Us, you've got like Tomb Raider. There's probably a few Indiana Jones comics floating around. Yeah, I'd love to see a Mission Impossible comic, but I just don't know who would pick that up. So
they did one years and years and years ago, and the only reason I know they did it because Rob Liefeld did the cover. Okay. Yeah. I'm old. It was in black and white. You know what I mean? But no, Rob Liefeld did the cover, and it's atrocious, absolutely atrocious. Never read it. XForce, don't read a lot of X books these days because they're shit. But this one wasn't bad. This is the kind of the end of the 3-part series where Kid and Mega is kind of assembled a team to fight rogue versions of the Beast throughout the future. I quite like this. Beast's turned himself into like a Nimrod kind of thing. It was all right. It, again, didn't blow us away, but it was all right. Did you read it, Charlie?
No, X-Men. I can't get into it. Like, I watched the movies and like so many variants of how they said to watch it, and I'm still lost.
Yeah, it's too wide. The
comics just seem the same. Like, I just can't get into it.
Yeah, so out of all of the X books, and we'll mention a couple in a bit, this is one of the easier reads because it's not really connected to the wider X-Men story, and that's just bollocks. It's so complicated. This was it. Just
I loved it. I loved it. I absolutely love this. Like, I'm a massive. Me and my wife are a massive Stranger Things fans.
yeah, me too. Me too.
So I love this. And on the show on our show a couple of weeks ago, I turned around and said, it just seems like IDW are clutching at straws to partner the Turtles with someone, whether it's the Power Rangers, whether it's Street Fighter and stuff like that. This weren't even on my radar until I found out about it, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love the fact that they've all gone back to the origins of wearing the red masks. I love the fact that it's happening in New York. I love the fact that the team of Stranger Things are there. I really, really enjoyed this. Like, really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to pick this up. I'm going to continue reading it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So it's kind of worked in reverse a bit. There's some Stranger Things / Turtle toys came out a couple of months back.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought, that's a bit of an odd kind of team up. And then all of a sudden the comic comes out, which is interesting. Did I enjoy this? Yeah, I did. It was good fun. I love Stranger Things. I do like the Turtles, although I wouldn't say I read any Turtle books, to be honest. But this was a fun story. It makes no sense. Do you know what I mean? None at all, but it's a comic, so it's not meant to. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I'd recommend picking this one up, guys, as well. It's a fun jaunt if you like Stranger Things and Turtles. Jack, I won't read X-Men again until it restarts everything gutted. Then with Batman is what got me into the comics. Yeah, I'm with you, Jack. But hang fire, Jack. There is a good, in fact, there's a superb X-Men comic this month. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. So, Amazing Spider-Man 29. This is yeah. So I don't know if you've been reading this one, Charlie. The Dr. Octopus's tentacles have become a pet to Jameson, and he kind of strokes him and tickles him in his bed and things like that. Wow. Yeah, Dr. Octopus has got some kind of funky new tentacles which have got
fetish by the sound of it.
Yeah.
He's a tentacle tickler.
Yeah, he's a
tentacle tickler.
He loves a good tentacle tickle.
Yeah.
Only interesting thing about this really is if you're into Spider-Man, they turned Norman Osborn into a good guy, as they do with most villains these days, and he's been working with Peter Parker for ages and all the rest of it. This book kind of ends with Otto Octavius injecting him with the Goblin Serum again to try and turn him back to his evil ways. That's about as interesting as the book got for me, I have to say. Not a one that I'll recommend to anyone because I think it's dog shit.
Do you think it's got to the point now where they need to drop the Amazing Spider-Man and just call him the regular Spider-Man?
He's all right, isn't he? Yeah, he's all right, Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just not a good book, and it's a flagship title, which is ridiculous. Canon to the show, absolutely. He's talking about the Stranger Things Turtles. Absolutely, they're going to make a guest appearance in the next season, from what I understand.
I hope so.
Yeah. There's Turtles and Street Fighter Toys 2, and Turtles and Cobra Kai. Wow.
Have you watched Cobra Kai?
I've watched bits of it because my son watches it. I can't say I'm a hardened watcher of it, but my son loves it.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I think they're like only 20-25 minute episodes in there or something.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I sat and watched some episodes he was watching last year, maybe. Wow, in terms of acting, it was rather ropey, I have to say. Yeah, boring, nothing new. Absolutely, completely agree. Fuzzy, below average Spider-Man.
There we go. That's it.
That works. This is just bullshit. This really winds us up. So this is the death of Kamala Khan in Spider-Man a couple of months. Well, not even a couple of months. Last month, they've done the Fallen Friend one-shot, and then it's not in the book because apparently there was a couple of pages at the end of the story where Cyclops talks about bringing her back. They took it out of the book because they didn't think it kind of worked well in the issue. And they released it separately or something. And then they put the poster out to say that she's back as the new mutant. Now, I think this is absolute dog shite in terms of why they've done it and basically fleecing people and all the rest of it. But what I would say is it's actually a really nice issue. It's quite an emotional issue. It's just such a shame. It means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Did you read this one, Charlie? Is this something
Yeah, I
that's
did.
in your...
And you know what? Like, I watched the Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus, and then obviously she dies in the Spider-Man. It was a Spider-Man comic she died in, wasn't it? And then everyone's like, "Oh, she's going to be dead," and you know full well that she's not going to be dead for long. And now, like they released it. I think it was on Bleeding Cool a couple of days ago, saying, "Oh, she's not going to be dead. She's going to come back." It's a blatant cash cow, because you know full well that she was going to come back. I didn't know that she was going to come back as Miss Marvel, as like a New Mutant and stuff like that, but you knew full well that she was going to come back in some way, shape, or form. So for this, it was just, I had no interest in it. I was like, she ain't dead. Like, I'm not even going to bother engaging in reading it, because you know they're not going to kill her off. Yeah. And they've done exactly what everyone was expecting them to do. But I do agree with you. It was an emotional read.
But I think for me, it's the time involved. It's literally not even been a month. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It irritates us no end. But there we are. It is a nice-ish issue, I suppose, but it means nothing. Okay, so X-Men titles that are actually good. This was fantastic.
Yes.
So this is X-Men Days of Future Past Doomsday. This is basically telling with a story of what happened in that classic Days of Future Past story, what led up to it. I'm kind of surprised we've never had this before, unless I've just missed it. This was great. I loved it. Very graphic. We've got mutants being ripped to shreds. You know, Angel there's wings being ripped off. Cyclops gets chucked into a metal spike. We get 2 children burned alive. It's a cheerful read.
Why not? Yeah.
SpiderMan beaten to death. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was great action. Did you read this one, Charlie?
I did, and this is the only X-Men comic I can honestly say I've read and enjoyed in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, this was awesome. Like, I mean, just look at them pages you've picked, like the colour work on it, the line work. It is wicked. Like, it was, I really, really enjoyed it. And if more X-Men stories were like this, instead of being so, just so confusing, and it's going there, it's going here, and everything like that, they'd be so much more enjoyable. But this was, I hope they continue with this. Is this a one shot, or is it going to go?
No, it's a I think it's a 4-part mini series or something like that.
Yeah. See, I will be picking this up and reading this, because I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. James is just saying that Spider-Man is stupid. Yeah. Absolutely. Why is Clark Kent on the cover? Where's Clark Kent?
Bottom right, I think he's assuming so, dead man.
Oh, it got you. Yeah, that's Senator Trask, I think. But yeah. I'm loving the image of Cyclops there with the hollowed out eyes, by the way, because his eyes are horrendous. Yeah. Ed, great idea to get back to when X-Men was good. Glad to hear they didn't ruin it. Absolutely, mate. Just a fun story. Really enjoyed it. Just a couple to quickly touch on. Haunt You to the End. Don't know if you read this one, Charlie. This is a ghost story book.
I've read the first one. I haven't touched on this one, but you can give away spoilers if you want.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really progress the story much.
Oh, does it not?
They're on the island. They're looking for ghosts. But it's intriguing. I will read that. Yeah. X-Men. This is Immortal X-Men number 13 with Doug Ramsey on the cover there. Absolute horse shit. I couldn't tell you.
Is that the official synopsis?
That's the tagline that goes underneath it. Yeah. Okay. This just, Jesus Christ. Honestly, I don't even know what happened. It's just page after page after page of people sat around a table talking about the trees falling in or something. And then at the end of it, Doug says, "Hey, I'm going to dissolve the council." And the tree monster eats him. I don't know what happened. I don't understand it. It was cack. Not for me. Yeah, I'm with, I think it was Ed or someone earlier on said, I'm avoiding the X titles from now on until they do a reboot. Because it's just
I don't blame you. I really don't blame you.
Ghost Law is quite interesting. This is by Cullen Bunn, who I normally quite like his work. This is about a father and a daughter who were in a car accident and the family are killed. And after that, they can see ghosts and dispatch evil spirits. And if good ghosts tell them the story, that can kind of help them onto the afterlife. You've been reading that one, Charlie?
Yes, I'm up onto issue 2 in this, and Cullen Bunn is one of my favourite writers. Like, I really enjoy him. And Leo Max, I kind of only really found him when he did Basket Full of Heads over at DC Black Label, which was awesome. So yeah, this is enjoyable. As the story, please tell me the story's progressed on this, because like number 2 is kind of left on a cliffhanger ish.
Yeah, it does. It does. You get
Okay,
more
cool.
more interaction with it, and
Cool.
it's now starting to you've got the father and the daughter dynamics and things,
Yep.
but it's starting to plant the seed that there's going to be a big bad in it, and you
Right,
kind of see them developing through. So
cool.
yeah, so I enjoyed that. Enjoyed issue 1, Haunt. Yep, like go slow and 1, but not sure about 2 or 3. It's worth reading, mate, just to see how it progresses. I think. Love your new logo. Thanks very much, James. Yeah, I'm over the moon with that. That was a very nice act of kindness, really, for a member of the community who I don't think I know very well. I don't think he's on my channel very often, but he sent some very nice comments and sent us that. And he's also now designed us all kinds of stuff. So yeah, love it. Thank you very much. Fuzzy, did anyone read Signs of the City? Yep, going to touch on that in a bit, mate. Only Marvel title I like right now is the new. Oh, I love the new Hulk. Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very good. We've been enjoying that one. Loki. Now I am enjoying Loki. I don't know. Did you read this one, Charlie?
Yeah, I'd say this is the only Marvel story that I'm really enjoying at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
and
big.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a big Thor fan, as most people. This just really hits my buttons. I love it. It's funny. It's wicked. That bit with the bow had us. I loved that. Oh, that was great. Again, it's quite graphic. I love that end panel scene there where basically the guy's blown up and he's on fire. It's the other troll's son. And the guy says, I only made an axe so I could chop wood and keep him warm. And Loki says, well, he's pretty warm now. That's great. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Is this the one you're going to keep picking up, Charlie?
I think so. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't read, like, I will say it now, I don't pick up Marvel comics. I think the only one I do pick up is Strange Academy, because I've been reading that since it started. And that's the only Marvel comic on my pull list that I actually have physically, because I think Marvel paper is shit. It's shocking. So it's the only comic I actually pick up, and I'm enjoying this. Like I have really enjoyed it, and I do like Loki as a character, and I'm looking forward to when he comes back for season 2 on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a good comic.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun comic. Again, a nice, easy one to read. Guys, we've got 22 people watching. Thank you very much. Can you please hit that like button? And please do go and check out the Killer Comic Show. Make sure you give them a follow and a subscribe and watch their show on a Thursday night. Charlie, did you read this, Charlie?
I did. And I enjoyed it. Yeah. I did. I liked it. It's probably because it was in black and white.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed it. I like the Joker, and I can see why you didn't like it. So why was your reasons for not liking it?
It was dog shit. That I'll be honest, I maybe didn't give this one the time it needed. I very quickly flicked through it. Basic story, Joker gets a baby. Something about nappies. I don't know. It didn't do much. Tell us a little bit, why was it good?
I think so obviously they're trying to personify the Joker a lot more. They're trying to give him more of a personality than the villain that we know him as. Yeah. So obviously we know him as the villain. He's Batman's greatest foe and stuff like that. But I think the fact that if you look at the various other comics, if you look at I think there's a few Harley Quinn comics that have come out, and she runs into the Joker's daughter, and also in Sean Murphy's Batman verse as well. We run into the Joker's daughter and stuff like that. This for me was a bit tongue in cheek. You're trying to give the Joker a bit of a personality. He's become a dad. He's changing nappies. The only thing for me that I didn't really like is that panel you picked in the middle, that is directly taken from the Joker movie. Yeah. It looks like it's taken from the Joker movie, Joaquin Phoenix, where he's kind of playing that. I mean, this no way is this going to win any awards. There's no way DC is going to get any plaudits for this comic. And overall, even though I liked it, it's absolute shit. Like, it's pointless. It's pointless. They've literally looked at the calendar and gone, right, we need something to put out this week. Joker can be a sperm donor. Let's give him a baby. And that's basically what they've done. That's basically what they've done. But I mean, there's some funny parts in it. I liked it because it was in black and white and stuff like that. And I mean, if you're a fan of the Joker, I would suggest not reading it. Really.
Yeah, not for me, really. Dead Man saying that he wishes they could kill off the Joker for a few years. Overused. Yeah. I think there's a few villains like that, but I think they kind of, you know, they get so flooded.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. that was in sync. Oh, love that.
Yeah, this for me, this is my read of the year. I mean, I'm just loving the emotion behind this book. So this issue, I think the guys who are watching will have heard me talk about this book before. Something Epic is basically the story of a guy a young lad who can see everybody's imagination, creatures and things like that. So he lives in a world surrounded by creatures of the imagination. Yeah. We've had the ongoing theme about his mother being unwell. That kind of comes to a head in this issue. Yeah. Which is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then we get a time jump, and we'll see him grow up 10 years later. And then we kind of the ending threw us a bit. I kind of wasn't expecting this kind of gruesome reveal kind of thing. I absolutely love this book, and I cannot wait. I'm hoping so much that Image give this a bit of money behind it and give it a real nice kind of oversized hardback edition, just so you can drink in that stunning artwork. What did you think of it, Charlie?
So I hadn't read any of these, and I kind of just jumped on and was like, right, I'm going to read all three of them in one go. Phenomenal. If there was one comic this year that you could see being a TV series, this has essences of Neverending Story and Stranger Things. Like, this is. Honestly, I think when Shazam Kudranski is talking about like the kid drawing from his imagination, I couldn't read this comic but picture him as this is how he grew up. And it would be really interesting to find out if he did, because I know he watched the show the other week when you commented on this. Yeah. And it would be really, really interesting to see if he's pulling from actual personal experiences.
Yeah.
Because this is something epic. It says it all in the title. Like, it is something epic. The narrative, the character development, the storytelling, the artistic flow, everything. It's phenomenal. It's such a great comic. And like that panel you've picked in the middle, it's so very much like Stranger Things. Yeah. And I think that's what I love about it. I think that's what really engaged me in it.
So I'm absolutely with you, mate. And I think, you know, Fuzzy's summed it up for me as well. Something Epic's my happy place. I read, as Charlie did, a lot of books this week, and a lot of them were mediocre. Some of them were not even at mediocre level. Yeah. And then you get to this, and the second I saw the cover, I just smile, you know. The artwork is phenomenal all the way through it. I absolutely love the way the art style on one panel is so diverse. So you've got beautiful painted stuff, and you've got cartoony looking characters, you know, like Disney kind of characters. And also, like I say, the story in terms of the relationship with him and his mother was just heartbreaking. So yeah, I absolutely adore this book. It's one of my favorites.
And that came out of the blue, don't you think? Like, 1 minute they were fine, and then the next minute she's like, "Oh, we've got to leave now. I've got a doctor's appointment." Yeah. And then she's you kind of think, "Wow, this is," which makes me think that it is drawn from personal experiences. Yeah.
Be interesting to see. To see. Also, just to say, this is a series that's got some of the best variant covers I've ever seen. It's got some superb as well worth checking out. So Fuzzy saying it's his happy place. Jack, book of the year so far for me. Yeah. Dead Man only had issue 1 so far. Very good stuff. GP nearly dropped this until I got to the end. Yeah. And I think, you know, GP, it's fair to say that issue 1 and some of the subsequent issues. Yeah. It's a book you've got to sit and read, because there's a lot of reading in it, you know. You can't just flick through this one, you know. It's
very narrative heavy, but that goes with the artwork and the attention to detail that's put into it. Yeah. It's worth spending time with it, I think. Yeah.
John, Something Epic is the only comic I'm loving right now. Yeah. Bang on Charlie, it's like a mashup of all of those things. Yeah. Art is cracked. Yeah, superb. Ed, I struggled with this initially, what with all the reading in the first issue. Yeah, but it is good. Loving the artwork. I think that's fair, Ed. I have to say it is text heavy to start with, but once you get into it, it's a beautiful story. First issue didn't do it for me. Might go back, mind you. Yeah, it's worth rewatching.
Definitely go back.
Order 2 and 3 from Place and Space. Don't think they ordered enough. Oh dear. Hopefully you'll get them, bud. It's a perfect mix of nostalgia and fantasy and heart. I don't often recommend comics, but I've bought 3 or 4 people issue to read. I can't wait for more. Absolutely, Fuzzy. That's, and you're right, Fuzzy, because sometimes I'm resistant to recommend comics to people, but this feels like an event. You know what I mean? It's something that I think people will come back to. So yeah. I need to get the variants, some mental ones. There are some beauts out there.
There are some absolutely gorgeous ones, yeah.
So yeah, well worth picking that up. I love it. Great story. Now, Sirens of the City. Did you get a chance to read this one, Charlie?
Yeah, so we've got the vote over on our YouTube channel at the moment, and at the moment, I don't know what the public are doing. Fish Flies is winning at 39%. And
look at you, Charlie. Look at you.
Sirens of the City's got 35%. Yeah. So, like, Tom picked this one, and I'm so glad he did because, again, Boom Studios. Like we mentioned, Boom Studios we haven't noticed that they've been putting out enough this year. Like if you look at the previous years, they were putting out loads. They had loads out. And this year, I don't really think they put out enough, but I think they kind of might have snuck in the back door with this one because I really, really enjoyed this. I think the whole concept of it just works.
Yeah. I loved it. So again, this was a one that I can't remember if it was you or Andy. Someone mentioned in a little group chat about this book. So to be honest, I'd finished my reading for the kind of the week, and then I spotted this one and thought, I'll give it a quick look, not knowing anything about it, and I loved it. I just think the artwork, the use of colors is stunning. I'm engaged in the mythology of it, in terms of who all these creatures are and what they're doing and all the rest of it. It does read mind at times. There were points where I thought, have I jumped on this series too late? Is this a series that's already out there and I'm supposed to know what these characters are and what the monsters are and all that kind of stuff? But actually, it flows well. And if you just go with it, it's a great story. And the artwork, I absolutely loved. How about yourself?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I think where you've mentioned have I jumped on it too late and stuff like that, if you kind of read the whole comic, I think over the whole issue, you kind of pick up where you're meant to and you kind of understand it and stuff. But I just think it's another good comic. And I think, it for the first, 5 or 6 pages, it is kind of text heavy and you're kind of finding your feet and you're finding out about what's happening in these monsters and stuff like that. But it's enjoyable. It's just, I've got to say, Image, Boom Studios, Dark Horse, Ablaze, they're all putting out comics that are enjoyable that DC and Marvel need to be looking at. I think we need to up our game. Now, we are literally churning out over and over again the same stories. There's nothing new. There's nothing new coming from them. Like, let's be honest. Whereas comics like this and something epic, they're at the forefront of, for me as a comic reader, of what I'm going to straight from the off.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, definitely. If you haven't read this, Sirens of the City, it's great, and there's an amazing Jenny Frison cover.
Yeah, Fuzzy's just saying that he's got that one coming. I haven't seen that one. This is a one. Do you know how I said earlier that there's certain series I'll read the issue and then I'll go back and buy the first issue. Yeah, this is the one that I'm going to get. Highland G, welcome, bud. Nice of you to join. He's just saying he loves the black and white with touches of color. Yeah, I love that as well, mate. And actually, that's something, to be fair. We were talking about Fish Flies earlier on. I do like that with Jeff Lemire's work. I like the kind of stark colours and then the flicks of colour that he puts in. And Ed, again, mate, you don't have to worry about 60 years of backstory. You can just make a good story.
That's it.
Absolutely. I'm of the age now, I think I've said this before, where I quite like me standalone stories, my mini series and whatnot. Because I haven't got to invest 15 years of my life trying to figure out what's going on. I can just pick it up and read it. And
that's what it's like with X-Men. With X-Men, there's so many stories going on. There's like the XForce, X-Men, this, and that. And it's like, I literally don't have enough life in me to invest in
it. Just too complicated.
That's it.
Okay, guys, that's your whack. That's all of this week's comics that we've read. Have I missed any, Charlie, or any that you read that you want to mention?
The only one I did want to mention, and we mentioned it on the Killer Comic Show a couple of months ago, is called 8 Limbs.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read that one.
And it's amazing. So if you like to do a power bomb, like we couldn't shout about do a power bomb enough. Do a power bomb is fantastic. It's an emotional journey. The character development, you learn so much about it, and it's such a great story. 8 Limbs is kind of similar to that, and you can buy this on Amazon, so it is like a standalone. It's just like I think it's like 141 pages, but it is a good read, and I'm looking forward to delving into it. I've only read 2 or 3 pages at the moment because I've wasted my time reading on about 75,000 issues of Night Terrors, but I'm going to jump on and read that. But yeah, no, 8 Limbs, jump on it.
I'll check that one out. I did want to get to that one, but like you say, I was reading all the rest of the shit. But yeah, I will read that one. It's meant to be very good. Do a power bomb, incredible, and obviously he's going to be doing the new Transformers comic, which I am hyper. Absolutely hyper. So can't wait for that. Listen, we've had 20 odd people watching, so thank you very much. Far more than I expected on this little show, so really do appreciate that. Please, as I've said a few times, hit that like button, hit the bell notification, and do go and check out the Killer Comic Show. If you don't subscribe to them already, please check that one out. Ed is just saying there, Sins of Salt and Sea, I'm quite enjoying. Nothing massively different or special, but like it. Read the trade of Jason Aaron's Once Upon a Time, The End of the World. Yeah, is the Salt and Sea one the one where they're all animals? Because if it's that one, I struggled with that, I have to say. Not sure about that one, Ed. Let us know if that's the animal-based one or not. Yeah, looking forward to the new Transformers one. Yeah, well, it's going to be set in Cybertron, I think, so hopefully. I might have just made that up. I don't know. Torrent from Image. Not seen that one either. You heard of that one, Charlie?
I've heard of Torrent. I thought he was talking about a website.
Yeah.
Torrent. But yeah, I think I've heard of that. I haven't read it, but
okay, Ed. I'll check that one out then, mate. I'll check that one out. See what that's all about. Okay, everybody. So just to remind you, stuff happening this week on the channel. We've got 2 This Is My's, one with Doug Brayton, one with John Lees, and then we've got Mission Impossible review over on Reviews with Rich, which will be fun. That's your whack from me. Charlie, tell the people what you've got coming up on Thursday on the Killer Comic Show.
We've got, at the moment, I don't know if you're trying to set me up for a fall, you people in the chat, but we are currently, it looks like we're currently reviewing Fish Flies.
Lucky,
which is going to be great. It should take up about 6 minutes of the show. And then we was meant to have Dan Panacea on, but he's at SDCC, so he will be on in a couple of weeks. But obviously we've got the Killer Comic Show, we have the comic review, we have the indies, we have the FOC, and we have the Killer covers, which, if you didn't know, I haven't been taking part this year. I've been saving.
Have you been building it? I've been
building it. I've been pushing Andy and Tom to the forefront of the...
Something that always strikes me, Charlie, is that you are such a kind-hearted guy that you're letting them kind of get the limelight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's nice. A load of bollocks. I've just been picking shit covers because I'm shit. That's it. I can hold my hands up when I'm wrong, and I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Tom and Andy have been running away with it, so good luck to them. Because what I haven't mentioned is that the winner buys the first the first weekend's round of drinks at Thought Bubble. So Andy, Tom, carry on, because I will be drinking double whiskies and lemonades.
Oof, banana shots all round.
And banana shots. There we go.
Yeah. There we go. Well, listen, Charlie, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You too, mate.
Always fun talking comic books with a like-minded geek. Thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat. It's been popping tonight, so really do appreciate you watching. And I hope to see you on Monday. And we'll catch you all next time. So take care, everybody. Bye.
See you later.